Let's start with Ricky Williams of Texas. Picture this, it's 1998. The Longhorns are facing yet another stout Big 12 defense, and everyone in the stadium knows exactly who's getting the ball, Ricky Williams. And still, play after play, he breaks through. That year, Williams put up 2,124 rushing yards and 27 touchdowns against top-tier Division I competition. He averaged over 6 yards per carry, and he did all of this in just 11 games. No conference title game, no padded bowl stats, just pure ground and pound football dominance. What separates Ricky's season from the others isn't just the raw numbers, it's the context. Defenses sold out to stop him. 8-man boxes, blitz-heavy schemes, didn't matter. Ricky would take the handoff, lower his pads, and turn would-be tacklers into speed bumps. In his final regular season game, he needed 63 yards to break Tony Dorsett's all-time NCAA career rushing record. He did it with a 60-yard touchdown run against arch-rival Texas A&M. ESPN broke into live programming to show it. The stadium exploded. It wasn't just a football moment, it was a cultural one. Now, in an era where star backs often split carries or skip bowl games to prepare for the NFL, Ricky's workhorse approach feels ancient. Most teams run by committee. Very few backs get the volume, the offensive line, and the schedule alignment to even sniff 2,000 yards. And those who come close, they're usually in offenses designed to protect them, not run them into the teeth of elite defenses 25+ times a game. Ricky Williams' 1998 season is a war cry from a different era, one where backs were asked to be the offense, where grit, endurance, and sheer willpower created legends. That record, it's not just unlikely to be broken, it's from another world entirely. Next up, Keenan Reynolds of the Naval Academy. You know you're special when your touchdown count rivals video game stats. Keenan Reynolds, Navy quarterback, finished his college career with 88 rushing touchdowns. That's not a typo, 88, as a quarterback. And he didn't do it with trick plays or goal line gimmicks. This was 4 seasons of old school triple option grind. At a time when the rest of college football was shifting to shotgun formations and air raid schemes, Navy stayed grounded, literally, and Reynolds was their engine. From 2012 to 2015, Reynolds carried the rock like a running back and read defenses like a seasoned pro. He rushed for over 1,000 yards in 3 straight seasons. His vision, footwork, and decision-making were almost robotic in their precision, and he did all of it while attending one of the most academically and physically demanding institutions in the country, the U.S. Naval Academy. One of his most legendary performances came against San Jose State in 2013. He rushed for 240 yards and scored 7 touchdowns in one game. That tied the NCAA single-game record, and it wasn't even his final season. Reynolds' 88 rushing scores put him ahead of guys like Lonte Ball, Travis Prentice, and even the best running backs of the modern era. He redefined what it meant to be a dual-threat QB, not by slinging the ball downfield, but by mastering one of football's oldest, toughest systems. With modern offenses focusing more on passing and protecting quarterbacks from hits, the idea of a QB running for this many touchdowns is hard to imagine repeating. You'll need the perfect storm, a 4-year starter in a triple option system, a clean bill of health, and defenses that somehow never fully adjust. Good luck. Who remembers Case Keenum of Houston? From 2007 to 2011, he amassed an eye-watering 19,217 passing yards. That's more than 4 miles. Keenum wasn't a 5-star recruit. He wasn't even expected to start, but once he got under center in Houston's air raid offense, he became a statistical machine. The Cougars ran a spread attack that turned the field into a playground for Keenum's arm. He had 2 seasons with over 5,000 yards passing. In 2011, his final year, he threw for 5,631 yards and 48 touchdowns. His accuracy? Deadly. His football IQ? Off the charts. He could dissect zone coverage like a surgeon, then deliver a 40-yard strike to a receiver in full stride. Keenum benefited from something rare in modern college football: stability. He had the same system, similar supporting cast, and crucially, a 6th year of eligibility due to injury. That extra season helped him separate from everyone else. Today's top QBs often go pro after 3 years. They don't stay long enough to chase cumulative records, and even if they did, the margin for error is razor thin. A missed season, a coaching change, a drop in supporting talent, it all adds up. Keenum had the arm, the scheme, and the timeline, and the result is a record that may never be touched. The bar is just too high, the environment too unstable, and the college game too transient for anyone else to touch. Most football fans can't forget this guy, Barry Sanders, one of a kind. When people talk about the greatest college football seasons of all time, the conversation ends and begins with Barry Sanders, 1988. Playing for Oklahoma State, Sanders didn't just put up stats, he created a masterpiece. 2,628 rushing yards, 39 total touchdowns, all in just 11 games. That's not a season, that's an earthquake that shook the sport. He rushed for over 300 yards in a game 5 times. 5. His average per carry? Over 7.6 yards. And this was an era where defenses weren't soft. Sanders juked, spun, cut, and vanished through holes that didn't exist. He was a ghost in shoulder pads. Most seasons feel like a marathon. Barry made it look like a highlight reel on repeat. His performance wasn't just athleticism, it was art. He had an unteachable ability to change direction mid-stride and accelerate like a sports car. Every run felt like something magical could happen. Here's the kicker, bowl stats didn't count back then. If they did, his total would be even more ridiculous. And in today's college football world, with reduced workloads, early NFL exits, and ever-changing offensive philosophies, a repeat just isn't in the cards. Barry's 1988 campaign wasn't just the best, it was perfection on cleats. Now to a few team achievements, starting with one that took a decade of recruiting classes and future NFL players to come together. Imagine winning every single home game for nearly a decade. From 1985 to 1994, the Miami Hurricanes turned the historic Orange Bowl into a house of horrors for visiting teams, racking up 58 consecutive home victories. It wasn't just the wins, it was who they beat. Top 10 opponents, rival powerhouses, Heisman contenders, it didn't matter. The U was untouchable at home. This streak spanned 3 head coaches and dozens of roster changes, yet the swagger stayed the same. The Hurricanes didn't just win, they intimidated. From the moment they took the field, there was a feeling. You weren't escaping Miami with a win. They were physical, fast, and they were confident to the point of cocky. But when you've gone 58 straight without losing on your turf, who can blame you? In today's college football, forget about it. The transfer portal, coaching carousel, playoff distractions, and national parity make such dominance at home borderline impossible. Even dynasties like Alabama and Georgia don't come close to this mark. The Orange Bowl is gone now, replaced by Hard Rock Stadium. But the memory of those 58 straight wins, that's the kind of legacy that lives forever. Another example of team dominance, that's the only word for it. From 1953 to 57, Oklahoma won 47 straight games under legendary coach Bud Wilkinson. That's nearly 4 seasons without a single loss. Let that sink in. 4 years, no slip-ups, no off days, just win after win after win. This was a team that redefined excellence. Wilkinson's Sooners were disciplined, tough, and impossibly consistent. They didn't just outscore opponents, they smothered them. The defense was relentless. The offense was methodical. They were a football machine in an age before modern sports science. And while the game has evolved, it's actually gotten harder to win consistently. Upsets are more common, schedules are more brutal, and every team, even the best ones, face elite competition weekly. No program, not even Nick Saban's Alabama, has gotten close. The 47-game streak is a testament to an unrepeatable era of synergy and supremacy. It's not just a record, it's folklore. 819 passing yards in a single game. You might think it's a typo, but it's not. In 2016, Texas Tech threw for 819 passing yards against Oklahoma. That's not just a lot, that's absurd. Patrick Mahomes, yes, that Patrick Mahomes, led the charge with 734 yards by himself. Backup Nick Shimonek added the rest. It was a 66-59 shootout that felt more like a video game than real life. It was pure chaos. Receivers were streaking downfield. Defenses were gasping for breath. Every drive felt like an instant highlight reel. It wasn't just offense, it was mayhem. Air raid systems love to throw, but even by those standards, this game was bonkers. And in today's football, defensive coordinators have adjusted. Clock rules have changed. Game management is more cautious. A performance like this was lightning in a bottle. The conditions were perfect. 2 high-powered offenses, 2 defenses struggling to get stops, and a future NFL MVP calling the shots. Don't expect to see that again. A change of pace. Let's take a look at CJ Spiller of Clemson. Special teams rarely get the spotlight, but when it comes to game-breaking plays, nothing flips momentum faster than a kickoff return touchdown. And no one did it more often in NCAA history than CJ Spiller. The former Clemson star returned 7 kickoffs for touchdowns over his college career, a record that stands untouched. What makes this so unbreakable isn't just the number, it's context. Kickoff returns are being phased out of the game. Rule changes have led to more touchbacks and fewer return opportunities, and rules today are hyper-focused on limiting return risks by angling kicks, using squib techniques, or simply booting the ball out of the end zone. But in the mid-2000s, Spiller was electric. He had sprinter speed, elite vision, and a knack for finding daylight where there was none. Every time the ball was kicked deep, fans held their breath and defenders braced themselves. His returns weren't just fast, they were thrilling. He'd slalom through tackles, hit a seam, and explode into the open field like he was shot out of a cannon. He made special teams coordinators look like geniuses, and opponents look helpless. And with fewer return chances available in today's game, replicating his 7 touchdown returns isn't just improbable, it's almost impossible. Current players would need to return a kick once every dozen opportunities just to come close, but with most games offering only 1 or 2 realistic returns, the math doesn't add up. CJ Spiller didn't just run fast, he changed the way special teams was feared, and his kickoff return touchdown record is likely staying in the end zone forever. Going back to old school, Jerome Harrison's record for a single game, which happened over 30 years ago, will forever be a hard one to beat. In today's football world, running backs are rotated to keep them fresh, but in 1991, Washington State's Jerome Harrison carried the ball 58 times in a single game, an NCAA record that may never be approached, let alone broken. Let's be clear, 58 carries isn't just a workload, it's an endurance trial. That's nearly 15 full drives of handoffs. That's dozens of hits from 250-pound linebackers. And Harrison didn't just survive it, he thrived. It was against Oregon, and the Cougars leaned on him every single play. Short runs, sweeps, dives, and off-tackle grinds, Harrison kept getting up and asking for more. His conditioning, his toughness, and his refusal to go down made him a one-man offense. Most backs today might top out around 25 carries in a game, maybe 30 in a grinder, but 58? That's double duty. And with load management now a key part of roster strategy, coaches simply won't allow that kind of use anymore. Even in overtime thrillers, backs are rotated, depth charts go 3 deep, and with the NFL looming for elite players, there's every reason to protect bodies for the next level. But on that day in 1991, Jerome Harrison carried more than a football, he carried a team. And he carried a record that still hasn't been touched in over 30 years and might never be again. Back in the day, and I'm not going to pretend I recall anything from this time period, there was one major beatdown that will forever be the biggest of all time. The year was 1916, and Georgia Tech didn't just beat Cumberland College, they annihilated them, 222-0. That's not a typo, that's a war crime. The backstory? Cumberland had disbanded their football team, but were still contractually obligated to play. So they cobbled together a group of players just to show up. Georgia Tech's coach, a man named John Heisman, you might have heard of him, he was furious that Cumberland had humiliated his baseball team earlier that year, so he took the gloves off. The team scored at will, on every possession, on special teams, on defense. There were 32 turnovers. Cumberland finished with negative rushing yards. It was the most lopsided score in football history, and it'll never be broken. Not just because of the score, but because of sportsmanship. In today's world, coaches pull starters, games are called early, mercy rules exist. But in 1916, it was personal and unforgettable. Boise State's rise to national prominence all started 20 years ago, but what you may not know is just how incredible that season was for their quarterback, Jared Zabransky. Quarterbacks throw picks. It's part of the job. But in 2006, Boise State's Jared Zabransky played a full season and didn't throw a single interception. Zero. Nada. Not one. This wasn't a 3-game season either. Zabransky started all 13 games, including the iconic Fiesta Bowl against Oklahoma, the one with the Statue of Liberty play. He ran a tight offense, made smart reads, and avoided big mistakes. While his arm strength and numbers weren't off the charts, his decision-making was elite. Now think about today's game. Aggressive defensive schemes, athletic secondaries, and QBs throwing 30-plus times a game. You're going to make a mistake eventually, but not Zabransky, not this season. Since then, no top division QB has come close. However, Trey Lance, in his only full season as a starter at North Dakota State, was able to complete the feat of a 0-interception season. That's perfection, and in college football, that's fantasy. I remember LaDainian Tomlinson's exploits with the San Diego Chargers, but before he was running and catching passes in the NFL, he took down one record that I can't imagine seeing broken anytime soon. Let's talk about LaDainian Tomlinson's epic game in 1999 while playing for TCU. He ran for 406 yards in a single game against UTEP. That number is absurd. That's not just breaking a defense, it's detonating it. He carried the ball 43 times, and the Miners couldn't stop him if they had 20 players on the field. He cut, sprinted, stiff-armed, and powered through like a man possessed. What's even crazier? He did it without any fanfare, no viral moment, no national spotlight, just a young back making history the hard way. Nowadays, with load management and backfield committees, no RB gets enough touches to sniff this record. It's from an era where you gave your star 30-plus carries and watched magic happen. LT didn't just run the ball, he owned the field. And that 406, it's still the gold standard for domination. Colby Cameron of Louisiana Tech had a night filled with precision, timing, perfection. These are the traits that define the record for most consecutive passes completed in a season, a mark that blurs the line between human execution and robotic efficiency. In 2018, Colby Cameron of Louisiana Tech set the bar with 44 straight completions over the course of multiple games. That's 44 passes in a row hitting their mark, with 0 mistakes. In the chaos of college football, screaming crowds, fast defenses, weather, nerves, this was a demonstration of absolute control. Think about it. One dropped ball, one deflection, one receiver slipping. That's all it takes to break the streak. And yet, Cameron didn't flinch. Every throw was calculated, every read spot on, every ball where it needed to be. In today's game, the speed and complexity of defenses make even short streaks rare. Quarterbacks are pressured more, throwing windows are tighter, and schemes are built to confuse. You need not only pinpoint accuracy, but a perfect supporting cast. A streak like this is lightning in a bottle. Everything has to go right, and stay right, for a long stretch. The fact that it happened once is stunning. The odds of it happening again? Slim to none. Andre Ware goes wild for 30 minutes and sets a passing mark that will be hard to beat. It's 1989. The Houston Cougars take the field under head coach Jake Party, running the revolutionary run-and-shoot offense. At the helm, a young quarterback named Andre Ware. By halftime, Ware had thrown for 517 yards. Let that sink in. 517 passing yards in just 2 quarters of football. That wasn't just a fast start, it was a supernova. Ware's performance came against SMU, and it was part of a larger onslaught that turned college football on its head. The Cougars didn't just win, they obliterated. The game finished 95-21. It was an avalanche, and Ware was the epicenter. What made this feat so insane? No one had ever seen anything like it. Ware was making reads faster than defenders could blink. Deep balls, seam routes, screens turned into 60-yard gains. Every play felt like a bomb waiting to detonate. Ware would go on to win the Heisman Trophy that season, becoming the first African-American quarterback to earn the honor. But it was games like this, these first-half explosions, that made him unforgettable. In today's game, even the most pass-heavy offenses rarely touch numbers like these in 4 quarters, let alone 2. Between clock management, defensive adjustments, and strategic balance, the modern game has changed. But what Ware and the Cougars did back in 1989, that was football without breaks. It was speed. It was chaos. It was history. 517 yards and a half, still untouched, still unmatched, still unreal. Terrell Suggs was a beast, and his last season in the desert showed just how disruptive he could be. Sacks are momentum-shifting, game-wrecking plays, and in 2002, Arizona State's Terrell Suggs delivered them at a record-shattering pace, 24 sacks in a single season. Let that sink in. That's more than 2 sacks per game, against elite offensive lines, against double teams, against entire game plans built to stop him, and still, Suggs found a way to get home. What made him so unstoppable? Speed off the edge, relentless motor, technical mastery, and a football IQ that let him anticipate snap counts like a psychic. Every QB he faced had a countdown clock ticking in their head, and most of them never reached 3 Mississippi. Suggs was a blur. He didn't just hit you, he exploded through you. In today's game, where quarterbacks release the ball faster than ever, edge rushers are at a disadvantage. Offensive schemes are built to neutralize pressure, and even the best pass rushers are lucky to sniff double digits. But Suggs, he lived in the backfield. His 2002 campaign wasn't just dominant, it was terrifying. That number, 24, isn't just a record, it's a warning. You're not breaking this unless you have a season for the ages, one where everything aligns and chaos becomes your best friend. Now it's your turn. Drop a comment. Which record do you think will never be broken? And which ones did we miss? If you enjoyed watching this video, click to subscribe and we'll see you in the next one.